All right, let's get started. Hey everybody, again, thank you so much for being here. I'm Laura Nash from People's Economy Lab. I'm the communications and network organizer, and I am the project lead for this learning series. Today we'll be talking about economics for emancipation, King County, the upcoming learning series, what you can expect from the learning series, how to apply, and we'll have lots of time at the end for questions. Oh, also, just to note, we are recording this information session, so if you would prefer not to be on the recording, then you should turn off your video, and we will be sharing the recording after for anybody who couldn't make it. So what you can expect today, we'll tell you a little bit about who we are, what the Economics for Emancipation curriculum is, what to expect specifically from the Economics for Emancipation King County Learning Series, including the timing and stipends, who we're looking to apply and how to apply. And then, like I said, we'll have lots of time at the end for questions. And I'll pass off to my colleague Jaguna to talk about who we are.
Hello, my name is Juguna Gishoro. I'm a lab leader with People's Economy Lab. And as Laura mentioned, we'll be facilitating this Economics for Emancipation Learning Series in partnership with COO and Cascadia. People's Economy Lab is a Seattle-based organization that works to advance the transition to a more just, equitable, and sustainable economy in Washington State. It's sometimes called a solidarity economy, sometimes called a regenerative economy, and also a well-being economy. But whatever term or framework we use, it's an economy that works better for people and the planet. And so at People's Economy Lab, we strive towards this vision by researching and workshopping alternative economic models like the ones we'll explore in this series. We convene and inspire BIPOC change makers, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and implementers and funders like yourselves. And this learning series, again, is a part of that work, and we're really excited to share it with our communities. And so next, I'll pass it to Whitney from COO.
Thanks, Juguna. Hi, everyone. I'm Whitney Johnson with Communities of Opportunity. And COO is a public-private community initiative that began in 2014 for folks who may not know about us. We're funded by King County through the Best Starts for Kids levy and also by the Seattle Foundation. And we are led by a board that is majority community member representation. You can learn more about COO at coopartnerships.org. And we invest in community power building and community-led strategies through 3 different investment areas. This work is in partnership with the strategy that I help to guide called the Learning Community, which invests in learning and capacity building opportunities and resources that support the strength and health of groups and organizations who are rooted in community and building community power in order to sustain the work needed to change inequitable and unjust systems, policies, and conditions towards those that support the health, well-being, and determination of all, self-determination of all, excuse me. And in particular, this partnership and this learning series is really in support of the learning and the connection building and the capacity building in community and for community to invest in what might be called, alternatives to the mainstream inequitable policies, systems, and investments that are often extractive from our communities and towards those that can be more regenerative for people and the land and our relationships to one another. So really excited for this learning series and the facilitation and guidance of Pell in this work. And lastly, I will pass it off to May to quickly introduce Cascadia, which is the Learning Community Administrator and is kind of in the background to help support things like this info session.
Thanks, Whitney. I will keep it very brief, but my name is May. I work with Cascadia Consulting. I'm also your tech support today. So if you have any issues with Zoom, please don't hesitate to reach out. Cascadia is a small WIMBY certified environmental consulting firm committed to community and grounded in science. We support the administrative and coordination of the COO learning community.
Thank you. And so I'm going to start with an introduction to the Economics for Emancipation learning series. Now, this learning series is a 7-module introductory curriculum with interactive and participatory workshops. It offers a deep and critical dive into the current political economic system, an exploration of alternative economic systems, and dynamic tools to dream and build the economy that we desire, one that centers care, relationships, and liberation. This curriculum was created by the Center for Economic Democracy, and it uses a popular education approach. It's designed to be accessible to organizers, educators, activists, and community members. It is a learning series that's available online, but we have adapted it to the specific needs and interests of our communities here in King County. And so each workshop in this series is designed to give the participants an active role by providing space to share thoughts and ideas, engaging in activities and discussions that help explore the specific topics we're focusing on, and then providing short lessons that really clarify key information. And then finally, exploring how to apply what we've learned here in King County, benefit of our communities.
Thanks, Jaguna. And I'll just say a little bit more about what makes the King County Economics for Emancipation series different from if you decided just to use the module or go to the one of the national learning series opportunities. So like Jaguna said, it's going to be interactive popular education style learning sessions facilitated by People's Economy Lab. There will also be the added opportunity of learning and building relationships with a cohort in King County. So you won't just be going through this alone on your own, watching videos on your own time. You'll be interacting with people, building relationships, creating partnerships for the future, and really just building an ecosystem for the solidarity economy in King County. We'll be bringing in local examples of the work that's already happening here. And we'll be bringing in our expertise in the areas of solidarity economy, just transition, community wealth building, collaborative governance, well-being economies, just to name a few. Some of the topics that we'll cover include what is the economy, use value, exchange value, and surplus value, neoliberal capitalism, colonialism, and the circuit of slavery, alternative economic systems, just transition and solidarity economy, community wealth building, participatory governance, and well-being economies. And then at the end of the program, we'll also have an opportunity for everyone to reflect on what they've learned and start thinking about how they want to put it into action.
And so these sessions will take place every other Thursday from noon to 1:30. And they'll be from August through November 2024, and you'll see those dates listed on the screen. All learning sessions will be hosted through Zoom. We'll have 1 or 2 in-person relationship building opportunities, beginning with an in-person meet and greet on August 8th in the evening. And attendees must commit to attend at least 5 out of the 8 online sessions. We want to make sure that we have that consistency so that shared learning can be effective. And so there are stipends available to support your attendance if needed. COO is offering $75 per session for participants whose employers aren't paying them to attend or whose employers could use monetary support to help them attend. And again, you must attend 75% of the sessions to qualify for the stipend. And so as we think about the type of cohort we're looking for about 15 to 20 participants, and we're prioritizing Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Also focusing on King County, particularly South King County, folks that live and work in this community. We're really interested in staff and board from BIPOC-led community-based organizations or philanthropic organizations. We're also interested in having artists, organizers, and government employees at the table, and also elected and appointed leaders. Overall, people who are curious about alternative economic systems, and really importantly, people that want to apply and share the knowledge that they would learn in this cohort and build, again, the ecosystem of support around the work that's going on in King County.
Right. So the application process, we have a Google form that's now open for applications that will remain open through the end of the month. Please do let us know, though, if the Google form isn't accessible for you, and we'd be happy to work with you to find a different way to apply. You can email me at laura@peopleseconomylab.org, and we can work together to figure out how to make that work for you. Once those applications are in, we'll be reviewing applications and making our decisions by July 19th, so that the folks who are joining the cohort will be able to get those dates on the calendar. And that wraps up our programmed presentation, but like we said, lots of time for questions. Please put your questions in the chat or feel free to unmute and ask your question. Yeah, whatever is coming up for you. So what do these sessions look like? Interactive or lecture? There will be a small portion of each session that is a presentation presenting new material, but for the most part, they're going to be interactive. We'll be engaging in, partner sharing, discussions, journaling, activities where we use things like jam boards to ideate and move ideas around. And yeah, so we want them to be very interactive. And the best summarized criteria and goals of this effort, we have, I just posted a blog on our website. I can find the link for that really quickly. Also, if you click on the link to the application form, there's a summary at the top of the application form. Let's see. And if you want to ask your question while I'm finding that link, Julia, you could do that.
Great, thanks. I think my question is about whether it's helpful to have, for applicants, prospective applicants, like a project in mind or like a way that they're hoping to apply this already when they apply, or is this something that they, want to develop? I guess my question is like, are you going to be workshopping things together, or is it more like, help you identify, projects and implementation of the learnings?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it is not required that people would know how they want to apply the knowledge. It would be helpful to know what community you're hoping to spread that knowledge within, what sort of ways you've maybe shared knowledge or taken action on things like this in the past. But I don't think you need to know exactly what you want to do with it before you get started. Okay, and I'm seeing what's the workload or homework like in between sessions? We don't want to have much homework. I think we've talked about just maybe at the end of every session having a question that you can like start thinking about before the next session, but no like readings or assignments or anything.
Sorry, I unmute myself because I haven't had my Zoom 101 on how to get to the chat and all that kind of stuff, but I'm scheduled for the next 2 weeks to go in.
All good.
And I'm Miss Melba, so I'm old, so I'm still learning all of this new stuff. I just have a question, that our organization has historically been built on an organization that's an arts organization, but it's also giving skills for young people. So like all of the kids that have come through our program, we put them in the teachers training and looking for opportunity that they can do work as they get the experience. And so I'm at an age now where realistically Northwest Tap Connection has been sort of like my brainchild for so many years, but I'm really looking at how do I pass that legacy on? and looking for the best ways to do that. At the same time, wanting to make sure that I'm still collaborating with young people who are coming in. I have a daughter that plays a very adamant role in the running of Northwest Tap Connection, and we brainstorm, and sometimes we agree, and sometimes we don't agree. But with this type of a program, would this be something that I would definitely want to bring maybe another person on also, but also be there so that I have an understanding, so that my mind frame of how I'm looking at things will change? Or what do you recommend?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not something that we've considered yet. I think the primary hope is that there's going to be a consistent cohort of folks showing up to as many meetings as possible, because we really want to be building those relationships between folks. We might have to think about that a little bit more, if there's a desire for a pair of people to join together, or especially if that would be helpful for somebody in processing the content and thinking about how they could move it forward. We will think about that and get back to you in our follow-up email, if that's all right.
Yeah, that would be great. Because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that, taking on these new thought patterns of how we move business forward is that change is very, it's a very difficult process. And I think it's easier to change in communities because we know that community evolves. And so a lot of my experience has been, in leadership positions, also in institutionalized spaces where change is very difficult and takes a lot of time. So I was just thinking that, especially for folks like myself that's getting older, that to really want to have a mentor or a role model that I can do, but at the same time, really having the young people who are stepping up in our organization and really taking leadership positions to understand what our core values are, but also how to integrate this new way of thinking also.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely food for thought for us. I'm going back to the chat. Let's see. During the workshops, is there any focus on equity interest for securities when it comes to investments that are made? I feel like that might be a Jaguna question. I don't know.
Yeah. And so we will not be specifically getting into equity interest for securities. I think the topics will probably be at a more sort of higher general level. We will be talking about community wealth building and different models and approaches, where sort of a model like equity interest for securities may align, but I don't think we'll be digging into those things as specifically, but I think by being in the group, maybe we can have some discussions about that and see if there are any ways we can support your learning around those kind of things.
Thank you. Okay, what are our desired outcomes for how we use knowledge gained in the workshops? I feel like we don't have very specific outcomes we're hoping for. Mostly it's that you're bringing back the knowledge to your communities, that there's just more education knowledge about alternative economic systems in King County, and in particular in BIPOC communities in King County, just to spark that idea of how folks can start using the knowledge. And there's no specific, like, we're not looking for people to, take this knowledge and then go, okay, I'm going to go start a co-op, or okay, I'm going to go put this particular strategy into action. I think it's more about like getting the wheels turning and having people start to think about how they can get more involved in this ecosystem of solidarity economy that is made up of a lot of different strategies. So maybe just starting to think about the strategies that might apply in your community and how you can start, thinking about applying them. That's a little bit vague, but
Can I follow up on that question?
Yeah, please do.
So I was kind of curious, like, are you hoping that we take kind of that knowledge and that information? And are we just like sharing it back with communities with it, or was there some kind of envision some sort of like collective action where we all start to work together across our communities and advocating for this regenerative economy? Because I don't think there's enough of us. So like that's where I was wondering, is the vision actually going to be more around that solidarity and all of us working together towards that economy that will really more benefit our community, all of our communities?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think both and. Yeah, I think both what folks can be doing individually with their communities, and also long-term vision for People's Economy Lab is to create that network of people who is working on this vision for a solidarity economy. And so I think we're imagining hopefully that folks would take part in this learning series and then continue to be involved in this work and part of the network, and whether that's coming to events or getting involved in fellowships. Yeah, I think there's a wide range of ways that people could stay involved afterwards, but no like specific collective action that we have in mind during the learning series itself.
Yeah, I think that's exactly correct. And we just want to add that I think that's something that we can explore together, collectively as this learning cohort. Because we are not just People's Economy Lab, right? You are a network, you are part of COO and Cascadia's network. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to use the popular education we experience together to start to build that bigger we and create the vision for the next steps, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, what are the past experiences of this program, such as successes and challenges? So we have not led this program ourselves before. We were able to take part in a national cohort of folks led by New Economy Coalition that participated in this program. I'm not sure if I have enough distance from it yet to think about successes and challenges, but I would say definitely successes are just like learning so much that I didn't even know there was to learn about the economy. I think it was surprising to come into it and think about the economy in a very different way than we're typically taught about the economy. Challenges, I would say, are maybe with it's a tough weight to take on this length of time and this consistency. I know folks are really busy, they have low capacity often, so I would say challenges arose when folks couldn't make it consistently to a lot of the learning sessions. And I would say more an opportunity than a challenge is the piece about thinking about how you apply the knowledge afterwards. Yeah. Anything you would add, Jaguna?
Say, although we haven't facilitated this learning series sort of in other experiences, some of the challenges have been, of course, that these are big problems we're dealing with, right? And that sort of addressing what we've learned can sometimes be complex. And so we found in the past that that's something that we need to think about and address together as we explore this sort of transformative frameworks like the just transition and community wealth building. As we deal with these big, wicked problems, right? How do we begin to address them? Some other challenges are, where do you find support when making next steps? When you found information about a new framework, a new strategy, or a new tool you want to employ for your community, how do you take that next step? And so sometimes that can be challenging. The way that we sort of have strove to address that is by harnessing kind of that collective learning and support around each other, and finding ways to work together through these cohorts and networks to sort of envision next steps that work for everyone.
Great. All right, I'm looking at Malia's question about our selection process for the cohort. We're not asking for specific demographic information. Yeah, so we did hope, I think the question around who your community is a little bit like a proxy question for demographics, because we are prioritizing BIPOC community for sure. But the selection process will entail People's Economy Lab staff, communities of opportunity staff reviewing the applications, and then we're really hoping to have a very diverse cohort in terms of different areas that folks are coming from. So for instance, we want community organizers, we want folks from government, funders, artists, staff and board. Like we want to have a pretty diverse group so that folks are able to learn from each other throughout the process. So that will be a big part of our selection process, is balancing for that. And also thinking about, we asked for zip codes. There is a priority from COO for focusing on South King County. So that is something we'll be thinking about as well. Any last questions before we wrap up? And please,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't quite sure how to articulate this in chat, so it's better to come in. I have a new, I've been working with a new community stakeholder who's interested in participating in the work we do. So I'm working out a contract for this person. I think it'd be really great if to have her participate in this versus me, who's like, I've already got doing the work that I'm doing, and this would be a wonderful way to orient her in the work that we're doing and have her bridge from the work, what she's learning, and then, so it's not really I guess it's a question. It's just something that I'm thinking of. Does that sound great and right?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And I think we are hoping to get folks who, this is totally new to them. They've never learned about solidarity economy before. They're coming in fresh. So yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. If folks do have questions after the webinar, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and please do feel free to reach out to me if anything comes up. And like I said, if you're having any issues with the application, please let me know about that as well. Yes, we'll be sending a follow-up email with the recording. The response to that question about groups of people joining the learning series, and other logistical information about filling out the application. Yeah, and please also feel free to share with anybody else you think might be interested. Any last thoughts, Jaguna?
No, nothing for me.
All right, thanks everybody.